Here are some of the worst exercises in my opinion. But first off, it's important to note that this video is purely hypertrophy focused. This video is for people who want to maximize their time in the gym and stay away from unnecessary injuries while able to progress well. Number 1. Arnold Press. Here's why it's ineffective. The Arnold Press adds unnecessary rotation, which doesn't increase tension on your delts and reduces stability. This makes it harder to overload the shoulders effectively. Plus, the added complexity forces you to use lighter weights, which limits progressive overload. Number 2. Behind the neck pull downs. This forces an awkward movement pattern that reduces lat engagement and increases shoulder injury risk compared to standard pull downs. Same goes for behind the neck pull-ups as well. Number 3. Dumbbell front raises. The fact is, we already get a good amount of stimulus from doing horizontal pressing movements and normally don't need to add anything in to actually bias the front delt. If you feel like you do need to, then definitely add it in, but the fact is, you probably don't. Another thing I've heard is that the upper chest might actually have the best leverage in this movement. Not fully sure if it's true, but just something to consider. Number 4. The standing chest plate press. Here's why it's ineffective. There is absolutely zero tension on the chest since force is applied downward and not where you're pushing. You can disagree all you want on these other exercises, but on this one in specific, if you disagree, you're just wrong. It's also very hard to progressive overload since the most plates you can probably hold is just 1. And to make it even worse, the plate's size reduces the range of motion you can have, forcing you to actually use lighter plates just to get the correct range of motion. Number 5. Incline bench with a steep angle. Why it's ineffective? Well, setting the bench too high shifts focus away from the upper chest to the shoulders, which makes it less effective for chest development. If you want the most upper chest activation, then I'd recommend setting your bench at around 30 degrees. Number 6. Dumbbell tricep kickbacks. Here's why that's ineffective. It's often performed with excessive weight or poor form, turning it into a momentum-based movement that fails to isolate the traps effectively. There is also zero tension on the triceps at the starting point where your arm is bent at 90 degrees, making it a very ineffective exercise for actually training the triceps. Doing this with a cable will make it so much better. Number 7. Ab crunches. You might be surprised to find these on this list, but there's a really simple and good reason for why they're on here. The fact is, doing endless reps doesn't build significant muscle and often leads to poor form and neck strain. Outside of being lean enough, if you want your abs to really pop, you have to build them like any other muscles. So find a variation where you're not doing more than 30 reps. I personally prefer using a machine for this, and just focus on progressive overloading and getting stronger in the movement.